So I was in furlough at the time and I went for another job with Mercedes and I didn't get it at the time. I got down to like the last 2 out of 70 or something, and the HR at the time said, we'll keep your details on file and you sort of never think anything will come from it. And then one day I was just walking around with my friend in town and I got a call from Kate, who is the admin manager, essentially offering me the job because she'd seen what I'd been like in interviews with Mercedes. So yeah, Kate essentially just called me and said, this is the role. I'd like you to have one interview and we'll see how it goes. But essentially, would you like the job? So that was how I got my job. So for me, I'd always sort of looked over to the sales team and I'd seen some very strong independent ladies within the sales team sort of really making a name for themselves and really sort of inspiring me to take that leap. I think that it can sometimes look quite daunting from the outside in, but when you see it firsthand, it's not as daunting and scary as you might think. And yeah, I sort of saw people progress from where I was admin to general sales manager, and I thought, I can do that. If someone else can do that, why can't I? So yeah, that was my reason for moving. I think for me, it was at first, when I first sort of sparked the interest in sales, I thought it is quite male dominated. However, look at the women that are currently in that department at the moment and look how well they're doing. You can do that as well. Just sort of had to remind myself that it wasn't, gender doesn't define how good you are at something. In most cases, we see sales as a mainly dominated role. But for me, I saw how well others were doing and I just wanted to push myself and take that leap. And you just have to have trust in yourself that you're going to be able to fulfill your dreams and what you want to do. You've just sometimes got to push yourself over the scary edge. I don't know, I think a lot of the skills that I built up in the admin processes, you're able to carry them over into sales. I think with admin you're building on the foundation of what's already been done. And so I sort of transferred those skills into the sales role. I think really building on that customer relationship. I think people want to talk to people. They don't want to talk to a salesperson. So for me, I try and make every call with every person that I interact with as human as possible. Some people might fear that, they don't know what they're talking about and they might get misled. So for me, to make it as natural and human as possible is really the end goal, and to sort of build up that trust with people as well. I think we need to see more women in management roles. I think looking from the outside in, for me, I could see that progression and it inspired me to move over. So I think not just in the motor trade, but in general industries across, whatever it may be, I think seeing women in a management role would really encourage other women to take that leap and say to themselves that they can do it. They might be sat around a boardroom with 6 other males and they're the only female, but they might be the ones inspiring others to take that step. So yeah, I think more women in management roles generally. I mean, we already have that represented really well here. So yeah, more women up at the top. It's a tricky one. I think the sales role is ever changing. It's constantly ebb and flow. And there are some roles that aren't even created yet. I think for me, in 5 years, I'd still like to be in the motor trade in sales specifically. However, more of a management role. I still like the whole sales process, so I don't want to lose that. So I think potentially moving upwards of transaction manager, hopefully, maybe something along those lines, but who knows? We don't know what's created yet and what might be